All right, we're gonna test nitrates. So make sure you grab this packet that says nitrates and whatever water sample you have. So this one is from a goose pond. So there's a bunch of gross stuff in it. This one is from a well, but it's unfiltered, so they don't drink out of it. And this one is just tap water from Lowe's Grove. So we're going to test the nitrates. So remember that nitrates are found naturally. They're important for plants. But if there's too much of it, it can cause an issue with algae, overgrowth of algae, which then, we talked about this, causes anoxia, which then reduces the amount of oxygen that's available in the water. So we're going to test it and see what we get. So go ahead, and you might have to cut this actually. All right, yes, I had to cut mine open. All right, so go ahead and take out the test strips. You have 2 in yours. If I can get these out. Be careful, I just realized, be careful not to cut this too much because this is what we're going to compare it to. All right, so get your little strips out. Okay, so you got 2. So we're going to test and see if there's an excess of nitrates in here. So this is how we're starting out. This is how it looks. We're going to take this, and it tells us to take a test strip and dip it for 2 seconds. So I'm going to start with this goose water. So 1, 2, and then set that there. And then I'm going to test the well water and set that there. And then I'm going to test the tap water and set that there. Now you're going to let it sit there for 60 seconds, and then we're going to compare it to this, so don't throw this away. All right, so what you're going to do now is pick up your strip, and you're going to compare it to your paper here. So you just hold the strip up and see which one it matches. So mine is just 0 ppm, so that means there's no nitrates in this water. All right, now we're going to test pH. All right, so now we're going to test our pH. You might have to cut it off, be able to open it. Remember, the pH range we want is between 6.5 and 9. Okay, so go ahead and take your strips. I have 3. This is the from a pond where a lot of geese hang out. This is well water that's unfiltered, and this is just regular tap water from the sink in the back of this classroom. So we're going to go ahead and check it. I'm going to first check the goose pond. So you're going to hold it in for 1 second, take it out, and then you're going to hold it level for 15 seconds. All right, 15 seconds has passed, and now I'm going to compare it to my pH scale here. All right, this looks like it's a 9, so this is pretty basic. So remember, 7 or below 7 is acidic, above 7 is basic. So this is pretty basic. All right, now I'm going to test the well water here. So I'm gonna go ahead and hold it in for 1 second and then hold it level for 15 seconds. All right, so 15 seconds has passed. I'm going to compare it here, and this is like a 6.5 or so. Yeah, about 6.5. So this is within that range of 6.5 to 9. All right, and lastly, I'm going to test the tap water. Hold in for 1 second. And then let it sit for 15 seconds. All right, 15 seconds has passed. Gonna compare it, and it's kind of between a 5 and a 6. So maybe like a 5.5. That means it's pretty basic. Or sorry, it's pretty acidic. because this is acidic and this is basic. Which normally drinking water is more like around the 7, so it's a little more acidic here. All right, now we're going to check water hardness. So water hardness basically is if there is an excess in calcium or magnesium in the water. There are different parts of the United States that are more likely to have that in their water. But let's test these. This isn't something we like really kind of talked about, but this is something people test for their water. So it says to dip it in for 1 second and then let it sit level for 20 seconds. So I'm going to take it, dip it in for 1 second. I'm going to put it in front of it. All right. So this is a goose pond. This is a well. 1 second. And then sit it here. And then I'm going to test the tap water to see what the hardness is. All right, and let that sit for 20 seconds. I can see that they're already changing colors. This one's getting kind of darker. All right, so I'll be back in 20 seconds. All right, so if you look at that map that's on the screen, you can see the different ranges of where places have more hard water. That's what it's called, water hardness. We have more soft water here. You can see that it's in that purple range, which is between 0 and 6. Then places that are out west, like Western Texas and Colorado and Wyoming and places like that have pretty hard water. All right, so let's look at our test strips. So this is from the goose pond. Again, you're gonna compare it to this. So this is about 50 ppm. Okay, so it's on the low side. This is 0. So this is from the well, 0. And I'd say the tap water is 0 as well. So these have like no water hardness. This just has just a little bit of water hardness. All right, last thing we're going to check is for chlorine. So there could be some reasons why there's some chlorine in your drinking water. That's because they use it as one of the things they use to disinfect water, right? So this is well water. So what they would do is filter it to remove this gross stuff. Let me put something white under it. Might be easier to see. But see, there's a little bit of stuff in here. So they would filter it to remove some of that. They would also have to put chlorine and some other disinfectants in it, because even if the water's clear, there could be microscopic things in it like bacteria or parasites in it. So that's why there might be chlorine present in the water. So let's go ahead and test the goose pond, the well, and the Lowe's Grove tap water and see what the chlorine levels are, if any. Okay, so again, you might have to cut it open and go ahead and pull yours out. All right, and this says to all right, so you take your strip and you put it in the water and you stir it around 3 times. 2, 3. Okay, and then it says hold strip level, wait 10 seconds. So I'm just gonna put it in front of the cup. All right, and my other one, same thing. 1, 2, 3. Put it in front. Let's see if there's any chlorine in any of these waters. Probably unlikely that it would be in these two, since these are natural and untreated. But there might be some in the tap water, because Durham uses that to chlorine to treat the water. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Let it sit and let's see if they change. I'll be back in 10 seconds. All right, we're back, and it looks like none of them changed color. Okay, so compare it here, and it says 0. So there's no chlorine in here. If anyone has a pool at their house or a pool at their apartment, you could save your other strip and test it, because right, that's what they use in pools to make sure it's disinfected water. They put chlorine in it. So if you have a pool near you, you might want to save one of your strips and go test that out and see how much chlorine is in the pool. Okay. All right, last thing that we can measure here is we can measure the turbidity. Okay, so if we look at these three waters, the one that has the lowest turbidity is going to be this tap water here. Remember, it has to be below 5 or below for turbidity, and this is probably a 0. So we know that this has low turbidity. Okay, and then we have this one, which is actually pretty clear. I just don't know if you can really see it in the video, but there's some stuff floating in it. So if you have your paper from yesterday, you can check that, their turbidity levels. Okay, I'm gonna do that over. All right, now we're gonna talk about turbidity. So if you still have your paper from yesterday, we can use that and look at our turbidity. So remember, turbidity is how clear the water is. Low turbidity, clear water. All right, let's start with the Goose Pond water. So you can see it's kind of cloudy and there's also some sediment in it. So I'm gonna swirl it around and mix it, okay? I'm gonna put it on my turbidity paper just like we did yesterday. And actually, it's not that bad. It's probably about a 40, which isn't obviously drinkable or potable. So that's the turbidity for that one. And then the well water, which is actually kind of see-through. It just has some stuff floating in it. So I'm going to kind of swirl that around. Yeah, this is completely... You can completely see through it. I don't know if I can lift it up and show you. But you can see through that. It's completely clear. It's just a weird color on it. So this is probably like a 0. And then, of course, this is going to be 0 because you can see completely through it. So for potability, if we're just looking at turbidity, these are very low turbidity. This is a kind of high, but this is really low. This water just needs to be treated with some disinfectants like chlorine and filtered out. And this water is ready to go because it's already been treated by the city of Durham. So this is water that it's potable.